Welcome to the channel. It's your host, Ferina, and you're watching Millennial Mermaid TV. If you haven't subscribed, please do and click that update button so you can get notified whenever there's a new episode that's waiting for you. Again, like, subscribe, and hit update so you know if there's a new episode that's just come out.
But I'm really happy there's a female on the podcast for this episode. And I would like to do the introduction for yourself.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. My name is Sol Matalam. Originally from the Philippines, now residing in Halifax, Nova Scotia, in Canada, very east northern side of Canada. I've been here for 7 years, but most of my life I was in Davao. So yeah.
How did you end up in Canada? I was always
Wow. So people are always curious because it always seemed like I had life figured out when I was in the Philippines. Both of us are in the background of communication, so we were just in the same loop. I think you were in UP, right?
Yeah.
And then I was in Ateneo de Davao. So I geared towards just working for broadcast network, and I also was working for a radio station, 105.9 Mix FM, and a mix of things like online magazines and stuff. So it seems like everything was working well. If you studied mass communication or communication arts, that's the path you would go to. So I just came here on a whim, because my mother got married to a Quebecois. He's originally from Montreal, and then he transferred here to Halifax. And we're at that time, the processing was you are technically still a dependent when you're under 22. So I was still 20 then, and my mom's like, okay, let's just process your papers. And if you want to go with me, then go. And if it doesn't fit you, then you can always go back. So tuloy-tuloy na from then, and here I am 7 years after. But it took some time before I actually finally jumped in with 2 feet, because I was always living in the in between, I call it, when you have a close relationship with your motherland, you always go back. So it's only just starting last year that I fully immersed and just okay, I'm just gonna stay in Canada for a while and try to save up money kasi medyo mahal nga naman umuwi ng Pilipinas.
That's true.
But yeah, so that's how I ended up here. And now fast forward, we are in COVID situation. It's interesting.
I'd love to hear your story about that. How has COVID impacted you, and saying you already embraced living in Canada?
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
still Filipino but embraced living in Canada, and now COVID happens. What changed?
So, oh my Lord. So you think you've set up your life because you chose a certain career, you flourished in that career, and you have good workmates and everything. Everything seemed to be okay up until a very awesome pandemic started in March. No, well, it started around the end of December, and we were like, okay, baka parang SARS lang yan. Maybe it's just something the world can still handle, and we could still go about our day. But up until March, I was laid off from work from after almost working for 6 years in the company I was in. So you grow in the company, you work your way up, you start from the bottom. Now we're here, sabi nga ni Drake. But then you're just, when it hits you, it's something that you don't control. It's something out of your hands. But what can you do? The good thing was, because I was here in Canada, for every paycheck that we have every month, we pay we call it employment insurance. So at the end of every month, we remit that to the government, and if we need it, we can tap into it. Let's say you get laid off from a job, or you go to maternity leave or paternity leave. That's also a great thing. Paternity leave for the men. If you're listening, yeah, we do have that here. So it's something that really saved me because the uncertainty of having a job that's heavily dependent on tourism and heavily dependent on people coming in to Canada really, really impacted my life. Number one's a job. Number two, in my personality, I'm just gonna put this out there. Although I seem like I'm very confident and I get things figured out in my life. I do live with depression and anxiety. It's something that really, really hit me hard. Kasi parang you have a routine set for yourself so you can function well, and then that routine is taken out and you're just like, what do I do? So the first few weeks of lockdown quarantine, I was about to lose my mind because my routine was gone, my job was gone. What was I gonna do? The whole economy didn't seem like it wanted to turn around yet at that time. The jobs available weren't there. So I was like looking at other options. But the problem was also other people were looking at the same options as I was. So it was a cutthroat time to like talagang mahirap maghanap ng work. So COVID is the most challenging thing I've gone through in my life. If you think about how of the experiences I've had in my life, like the jobs I've had in the Philippines and the way I worked my way up in the workforce here, it's nothing compared to COVID. Because everything else you can control, but this one you cannot.
That's so true. And I think that's what got us connected again after all these years.
Yes.
Just for a backstory for all the listeners and people are going to watch this, we have been friends since grade school.
Oh my God, since the time you were just sweaty children.
We went to the same like tutorial center because our parents want us to be smarter than we already are.
Yes, because it's never enough.
Yes, learning is never enough. And I believe that, but it was really great.
Mm-hmm.
I got to meet you and
Yeah.
chair. We were just like, okay, drop us and with our Jollibee lunches together. And
Oh
like,
my God, yes.
what do you have? Do you have Chicken Joy or do you have a burger or a burger?
Yeah.
We
Burgers.
we met each other there, and we, Davao City is, we think of it as a big place. It is like in terms of land area, but it's actually a really small community. So we were, and there was like one elite school here and others, and I'm not gonna go there and they'll be offended.
Yeah.
People, but
Yeah. You don't want to offend people.
like you would see people, so I would see you. I think you're a year older.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, hi, hello, and we made acquaintances, and then we
Oh
just,
yeah.
and you went to college in Ateneo, still with communication. I went to UP because I didn't want to wear the uniform of Ateneo. No offense, Ateneo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, life happened. So we went our separate ways. And thankfully, through social media and this pandemic, we finally reconnected again. This pandemic, I lost my job, or I lost something, a starting point. And I was curious. I remembered you work in tourism, and you actually, by basis of social media alone, because we never got to ask about that.
Yeah.
You seem to have like a beautiful career, and then that happened. And for the same with me, people don't notice. I don't even know if people knew what I really do for a living back then, but I also got like affected. 80% of my income got slashed, and that wasn't enough for me to live the lifestyle I needed. And then you, on the other hand, wasn't into remote work until the pandemic hit. So I want to get into that.
So talagang I had no idea what I was gonna do. So a little after the lockdown here started in Canada, talagang shut down talaga. The jobs were just not there. There were a lot of job placements before COVID really started. So I already was looking around to see my options. You wanna elevate your career or you wanna do something on the side. Doesn't hurt. So because here in Canada, people can work multiple jobs. If you can, then do it. But if you can't, health-wise, don't. So I was looking at all the other options, right? And then COVID started, and then the way of living just changed. That's a first thing before I go into remote work. it really changed the way I look at life, how I should go about my day-to-day activities. Kasi Filipino families abroad tend to like stay intact. My mother, when I came here to Canada in 2013, she's like, you're gonna stay here. You're gonna not move out or whatever. And then I was already thinking about moving out because you're already want to live your life, right? You're already outside the Philippines. You're outside Davao. I always dreamed to be outside of Davao, but I couldn't because my mother was just like, "Oh, I keep you in my arms," but no. So I that was my dream here. So it became very difficult first to do that, and then like fast forward 7 years, I now live by myself. I pay my own bills. Strong, independent woman. Shout out to all the others there. So now you're responsible for your own self, like everything. Although you have family, you can like technically fall back on, but you don't want them to seem just like a fallback. But then, it's a safety net, especially for Filipino families. The way I budgeted my money, my savings, because I really tapped into my savings at this time because like you said, your income slashed. Talagang from something that just is rolling, wala. Ni 5 centimos does nothing. And I'm just like, what? And I was waiting for the my benefits to kick in, the employment benefits. But that can be just enough to suffice the basic necessities like food, shelter, Wi-Fi. Yun nga, like the way you said, like the lifestyle that you are living. At some point, you have to be able to sustain that because that's the life you chose and that's the way you live. That's also anchored with the job that you have, right? Me not having a job was difficult. So I was laid off in start of April kasi talagang wala ng trabaho. So I was like, oh my God. So I was just home. Then the insurance started kicking in and you have to pay rent. And you're like, oh, where do I get my money? But good thing the government of Canada kind of bypassed the rules and like, okay, you can get your benefits right then and there after you apply. So that's good. But now you're thinking of forward thinking. So you're like, oh, what happens to me in the next couple of months because I'm not going to be able to just live on this type of income because I have other things I need to do and I would not want to just keep being a bum and not doing anything. So at the time that the economy was starting to open, job postings started popping up. So I just did everything. Like maybe I would send 100 resumes in a day. Because again, the problem is everybody's also looking for jobs. I've never used so much words I haven't used in my life. I mean, you go through a dictionary in communication school and you're just like, oh, I'm not going to use that word ever. But no, I've used so much words I haven't used in my life. So you have to make your resume stand out. So I made it a point that I would use my writing skills that I've learned from university. I've used that to good use and nagbunga naman. Like have several interviews, but then, interviews pa rin. It's nothing assured. But then I came across something of a remote work. So it's just part-time. It's just something I do on the side. It's not my main source of income just yet, but at least now I've been open to the world of remote work and it is great. I've never thought I would go into this type of industry. I call it an industry because it's a league of its own. Because I've known so much, like I know my cousin Blue Matalam also does remote work, and a couple of others do remote work. And when I went to Siargao, I was like amazed. I was in Siargao in 2018 and I've seen people still chill and still work. I was like, oh, that's something I really wanted to do, but I don't know if I can do it. And only now did I find out like, well, I can actually do it if I look at the right places. That's just, you need to be able to look at the right places, or if you can't see the right places, talk to somebody who can like assist you and or point you towards that path, because this path is COVID tested. It's COVID proof, people. It's something that like if you try now to look at the way you should do job hunting, it's one of the things that you have to look at. You have to look at the industries that would be less impacted if, say, I hope not, if, say, another pandemic happens, right? So go to industries that are pandemic proof somehow.
That's really great. I mean, we'd never think about that. I mean, we've only started thinking
Mhm.
about that now because
Mhm.
we're living in it. But before this, like we only cared about the salary, maybe the location
Mhm.
if it's not remote work. And I loved what you said about um, you wanting to try remote work before, but you didn't think you're
I could, yeah.
you could do it, or you felt that you weren't good enough despite the negative and the unfortunate
Mhm.
parts of the pandemic. Here is that it has
Yeah.
forced you to go out of your comfort zone. It has forced you in a corner and
Oh
make
yeah.
the decision: do I fight it or do I not? And maybe for us, like me and you, maybe if it's the right term, that we were desperate
Mhm.
to get
Oh
jobs.
yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
I love that you took a step forward despite maybe I get you were still afraid. You would rather be, what do
Do
you call this? You would rather receive no's than not do anything, right? And sending a
yeah.
resumes is not a joke.
Yeah, like
Okay.
editing cover letters to fit each employer is frustrating because you've been working for so long. I've been working since I was 15. I'm working for radio stations before. So I'm used to working. So my work ethic has started early, and this is like the first time in my life that I haven't worked. This is the longest time. And that really took a toll on me because I'm a workaholic. I like to have a habit. I like to have a routine. So I had to like have a routine set for my day. I had to set my alarm a certain time of the day so I just wake up and not be sluggish the entire day. Because the first 2 weeks, I just did that. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm just gonna go on a vacation. But then a couple of months after, it's like, oh, this is such a long vacation. This is not right.
When can we start getting paid again?
Like, when can we even start interacting with like people at the store at least in a normal way?
Or I wanted to ask about when you finally got the call for that part-time remote work that you're currently enjoying now. What was going through your mind? Did you have any other fears, or was it more of did you was it more positive feelings of like, yes, I have a job, but then wait, what am I gonna
Yeah,
do? Can you
it's a mix of both really because number one, I'm used to answering to a superior, right? So when you're in an office setting, you answer to a superior, they're very specific of what they want and what they expect of you. This time, because it's remote work, the nonverbal cues aspect is not there. So I'm a very observant person. However, I'm more observant when it's face to face. So it was really hard for me. It was more of the fear of the unknown. So how am I gonna do this? If I like, am I coming on too strong? Because I'm the type of worker that, okay, I'm gonna ask you these questions and then I want you to tell me what you want from me so I can deliver and I can deliver more than what is expected. That's the way Filipinos work as well. That's why we're so known for hard work because we always go above and beyond. But then how can I go above and beyond when I don't know what you want me to do? So it's not like a job description, like a full-on job description, a dot 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 itong gagawin. So it was kind of a learning experience. Yeah, so always dun sa how do I deliver and how do I do my job in terms of because I can't observe my boss or I can't read his nonverbal cues because I'm heavily dependent on nonverbal cues to be honest. Like in the workspace and the normal office setting, you talk to your boss, you have meetings and stuff like that. So you get to gauge personality, but it's so hard to gauge personality if it's virtual because sometimes like on the first few meetings, it's kind of, I'm just introducing myself. I don't know you yet, but here's the thing. I need this from you. So I was basically doing that. So I just do most of admin work, right? I help him out with documents and also I found another gig on the side that I'm doing because I love my English language apparently. So I do a little bit of helping with proofreading documents and stuff like that because I like nitpicking on grammar. I like nitpicking on spelling and stuff like that. Although there's a lot of technology now on a computer that you can do that, but it's different when it's still a person who's checking the work. So I'm doing that. So I'm doing more of that right now actually than the other one, but at least it's still income that's coming in, and it's not it because I have employment insurance still with the government of Canada. At least the additional income kind of, still supports the lifestyle, and apart from the other needs, the other wants that we like in life, because, I do believe on still providing yourself with good things because you work hard for it, not really extravagant things. Don't like go and blow your money on like one big extravagant thing, and then tomorrow you're counting pennies to keep up with that. So, like splurge yourself a little, but during this pandemic really streamlined the way I look at budgeting and the way I value work. There's more value for work right now, like because everybody is just home. Like how I see it in the Philippines, everybody has been very creative on how they can go with life. You see people bartering stuff. You see people splurging on plants like I did. Like I've never thought I have a green thumb, like, because always thought I would kill a cactus in a day by overwatering it. But yeah, you learn a lot of things, and I've learned that all my fears before when I was in Siargao, I hope I just jumped in right away. So I highly suggest to the people, if you right now you're listening to us, you're watching us, just jump into it. Jump in with 2 feet. You will not drown, I promise. You will float. Like
I love
this is
that.
one of the, yeah, this is one of the things that I've never thought I'll be in, but I hope I was in already a long time.
And the great thing about this and the opportunity we have now is that it's not too late. Like everybody has embraced
Mhm.
the reality of it. And
Yeah.
on my earlier interview, it was talked about that you're right about just get the experience. If you have to work for
Mhm.
free for somebody just to get the credentials you need to
Yeah.
do it. But thinking about it is not gonna get you the job. And what you did is really just diving right in, maybe because
Let's go.
yeah, the season was. And I have to ask, now that you couldn't erase your feelings when you were in Shargan, like wanting to go into remote work,
Oh
and
no,
now
yeah.
having being in remote work probably 2 years later and wishing you did it earlier, do you see yourself staying with remote work?
Well, yes. I think even because right now, with the type, because I'm living alone in Canada, there is like a lot of challenges, and it's still good to, because I still haven't found the right remote work that will sustain like that big of an income. I'm still looking at like corporate jobs just to go hand in hand with the remote work to balance it out till I find the perfect remote work that will just, boost me up and will be my main thing.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, if you haven't found the main remote type of work that you're certain and you feel that it's right for you, then do it. But if for me that the income is not as sustainable yet, I'm still looking for other options. Like if in case I do find it, I'm like, bye corporate world.
Yeah.
I'll be, because again, it takes me back to the time I was in Siargao. I was there, I was in my ATV, and then you see people still bringing their laptops and stuff. I was like, why are people bringing their laptops? Because this was like the start of the boom of the remote work, really. Like about like 3-4 years ago was when it started. But then I was super worried before because like, how can you be able to deliver? We have so crappy internet in the Philippines. Like, oh my God, like it's one of the struggles. Like when you want to send something out, like it takes forever to attach a damn file. So I took it from there. So kaya hindi ako nag-jump in right away because like, I think it's gonna be tricky. But then it was always a thought that stayed in my mind. I see people thrive in working from home and it worked for them. They make their family work for them. Like for those mothers who are stay-at-home mothers, but still can also work from home. That's great because you can still be your own boss and still be the boss of the house.
Yes, exactly.
So it's something that's really, really catered to those who, have different priorities in life, or if you want to live a different lifestyle. For me right now, because I'm still starting to live on my own, unfortunately, I still have to find a corporate job because I haven't found the most sustainable remote work yet. But if I do, like I said, I am kissing that goodbye.
I love your attitude and I love how you are not afraid to try on things and see,
Uh-huh.
because I started out like that as well, but
Uh-huh.
for different reasons, which are practically the same because it's a lifestyle we want to live. We want to
Yeah,
live our life in a specific way, right? And we have to
yeah.
find jobs that will sustain us in that way.
Mhm.
And so I loved your attitude of I'll just try it. It's not as much right now, but if I do
Mhm.
find something that will, and I'm gonna stick with it. And I think the opportunity in this age now is that even corporate jobs which pay a lot, you can always
Mhm.
ask if you can remote work from home or work remote
Yes.
now because
That's what they realize right now.
yeah. And
Because with the pandemic, like na-realize na, ay, pwede palang hindi sa office.
yeah, I
Pwede
mean
pala.
people companies are paying lesser for space, and they're
Mhm.
getting more in revenue and productivity from their employees or their team members working from home, because working
Mhm.
from home is such a joy. Like you don't have to get up, put on makeup. Like I'm wearing my pajamas right now, ready to go to sleep after our call. But
Yeah, I'm just in my lipstick because I'm pale, but
you
there's nothing.
have always the perfect eyebrows all the time, so it's good. And I just realized also while listening to you that I'm trying to figure out the world of remote work and package it in a way that's going to
Mhm.
help millennials like us throughout the years that I've been doing this. And I was just selfishly doing this. I'm doing it for myself. I don't care about helping people, but when
Yeah.
friends come to me, when
Sure.
my surfer friends come to me and they want to do what I'm doing, it's like I want to help them, but how do you even help people? I thought I should help them. Like you should learn to write well. You should learn to do graphics. But then I realized those are the easiest jobs you can find, but they're
Mhm.
also the ones that have the most competition, right? But
True.
I realized again that even though the market is saturated, you will still stand out because of your personal brand, because of your personal story. And also,
Mhm.
there are three routes now I realize, and for making this
Mhm.
program of mine to help more millennials like us, is
Mhm.
that there are three routes to remote work. So one is the freelancer route, which I think
Yeah.
have one foot in.
Yeah.
The empowered freelancer, not the one who's like, I'm just gonna get this because I need money. It's
Mhm.
when you are excited about exploring. So that's one, the empowered freelancer. You want to be your own boss. You want to try different things because you're not sure yet what you want to do
Mhm.
longer. The second one is the corporate remote worker. You love corp, you love the pay, you love the structure.
Mhm.
Now it's available because of technology, because of the world we live in. And the third
Mhm.
one, which is my favorite one, is the digital entrepreneur route.
Oh, yeah.
So when
Galing ng mga taong yon, super.
usually these two people, the empowered freelancer and the corporate employee or remote employee, after let's say, I've acquired all the wealth or I've experienced this and I'm tired of trading time for money and I want to venture create
Yeah.
my own brand, my own business. It's so exciting to see like the steps of where people can take. And for me, that's how remote work sort of I would say I fell into because of,
Mhm.
exploring. And it's so great to hear it from you. And I know like, yes, I'm not.
Exactly. I think people like are just really scared to share their experiences because they think they're alone. Because that's how I felt like. I felt like, okay, I think it's more of like a Filipino Asian mentality that you really have to have a big corporate job. You have to have the big bucks. You have to like have your blazer on, like a fancy bag and stuff like that. I lived life like that. And I was young that because that's the thinking that was imprinted in your brain as you were younger, but then you learn life on your own and you realize that there's so much stuff you can do with the type of environment that we are in, that we're in the millennial brain, because like we are like looked down so much by so much people because people think that we're so lax, we're so chill, that we don't think about like, oh, what we're gonna do tomorrow or like 10 years from now. We do think about that, but it's more of a strategic way of thinking about it and not putting so much stress, because now we know that if we put so much stress, it will manifest in our body. We're so zen like that this time. I think that we value hard work and also wellness, and it goes hand in hand. And it's so important. That's why people just think that we're just lax and we don't give a flying F about anything. But we actually do, and we actually think about it. In our age right now, I'm just gonna be super honest. I'm turning 30. Most of our friends, like, no shade to our schoolmates, though everybody's having families, getting
Yeah.
married, having children. And yeah, I am rather trying to just still figure life out. And I'm just like, and that's okay. If you're looking at now switching your careers, if you are like coming from a big corporate job and then you're laid off and you think that you're in a tough spot, well, hey, you are in a tough spot, but you're not alone. And there are so many options that you can take a look at. And here we have people like you are having a platform to and sharing how this can maybe work for you. Maybe it's your time to listen. If you're going through this podcast, listening as far as now, maybe this is a sign that you should do it. Give it a try. Wala namang mawawala sa'yo.
Yeah, and the beauty of being on social media and for us and having your own platform, your own influence, is that it's easier to get information now. It's like if some Filipina is in Canada as well, lost her or his job, Sol, how did you find those jobs? They can easily just message you and ask for help, right? And you
Exactly.
would be gracious enough to share with them. And that's the beauty here. And I wished this was available when I started out, because
Oh my God.
I made lots of mistakes. Did you know I left my corporate job without a backup, without savings, without nothing? I just had a dream to write and to surf. And I kept the surfing part a secret because I didn't like,
I can imagine your parents were super strict. I can remember.
yes, yes.
You were super strict. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Even my mom, that's why I wanted to move out right away when I moved here, because when I was in Davao growing up, she was just sheltering me, not even letting me go to Manila schools when I already applied and got accepted, right?
Yes,
Anybody else?
I think we have the same feels of us wanting to go out of Davao and explore. Not that we don't like Davao, we love our home
Yeah.
in Davao. But it's just that part of us that we want to see the big world out there. And so I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw that I lived in Manila for a year last year.
Hmm.
I went there, I chased my dream, and like, is it?
Girl, how was that?
Yeah, we'll go to another story of a mermaid living in the city. And what?
That doesn't work, girl.
I had an identity crisis there at that point, but I wanted to chase a dream of mine, which is marketing.
Mhm,
I wanted my Davawenya knowledge compete with the knowledge
mhm.
of the capital and say like, hey, I can make it. And I did.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't want to do it in a corporate setting. I resigned, and then they even said like, what can we do to make you stay? I'm like, you want to give me a remote job? And they said, I don't think we're ready for that. Okay, bye.
Uh,
But we did leave.
Right?
We did leave on good terms, and I think there's it about being Filipina, being Asian, with this tendency that our families love to shelter us because they love us.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
for us who are not contented of waiting for the right time, let's just get out of here. Let's just
I
try.
I think we are like, ever since we were little, we were in tutorial school. we were always go-getters. Both of us always were the loudest ones in the class, although not in front because that's too like, let's do that, suck up to the teacher, but we were like just go-getters. And that's what I think, that having that attitude as we were younger up until this day, we were just like, no, we're not gonna sit down and just do nothing, because if that's the case, then we were not gonna be staying true to ourselves. So that's like, that the way I think about it is like, people should just start, like, for us it was more of our comfort zone to really get out there. We were like, okay, let's do this, let's do the different. And people thought it like, oh, you're so annoying, you're so rebellious, and you're so artsy, you're so out there.
Ambitious.
I don't know, like, well, I have my own thing, I respect what you're doing, but this is my hustle, and I'll figure it out. And my mother's like, okay, I trying to explain what I'm doing, and she's like, I'm not understanding, but if that's what you want, okay. And that was the first time in forever talaga na she was supportive of anything that's different. She's always been supportive of everything, but if it's different, she's just like, sure ka ba, anak? Ano ba yan?
I love that. And I think that's Filipino moms, same with me, was that if it's something that's different, she would try to not like be panicking, but it's showing through everything.
Yeah.
Anak, what are you doing? So one time, I may share and add to your story.
Yeah.
So I had a remote job and she had no idea what that is. What, remote job? So it's like,
what is that?
and then one day she sat me down and asked, what am I doing? What work is that? She was so scared. She didn't know what it was. And now fast forward now, she has been well trained to live in a remote first household where she loves to prepare food as the usual mom. And I would let her, even if I don't want to, but I would let her because she feels happy doing it.
Yeah, we let them be.
We eat during the meal times. And then after that, we head back to our own offices here in the room, or if I'm living at home, like right at where I am. And she won't disturb us. Because before, when remote work wasn't a thing, I had no boundaries. She would always not go in, like ask questions. And then I think for those of who are listening, maybe you also have strict moms who wouldn't let you venture out in the world. I want to hear your advice, Sol, but for now, my advice would be that first, respect your parents still. Don't try to fight them. It will not work out well. Second, you can sort of slowly train them. So what I did, and okay, Mama, if you're listening, I love you, and I thank you that you are now a changed woman. But we know what I did. I wanted to achieve my dream of being independent, going out. So what I did, I found a job that would help me get out, so my parents wouldn't worry of how I would sustain myself. And then from there, living there for a year, I've learned a lot. They've earned a lot, and the great thing is that it learned for us both as parents and as the eldest daughter, Filipina. Yeah. I missed family. I enjoyed family more. And then they enjoyed as well letting me be independent, letting me learn, letting me budget, clean my own bathroom, do my own laundry, cook my own food, right? These are skills that are helpful, whether pandemic or not, right?
Yeah, exactly. And springboarding from what you said, our parents, their generation, the way they parent really is more of a sheltering type of parenting. And it's not that it's bad. I think it's because of the parenting of their parents, and that they didn't want us to feel like we're not being well taken care of. Kasi sila, they had to do their own hustle, and when they graduated, they did this and that. That's why my mom always said, oh, umalis ako, I did this, I worked right away, I worked my way up, blah, blah, blah. And she's like expecting me to do the same thing right then and there. And that's how the parenting styles is, and that's why that you're right. No matter what the differences and views are, respect your parents. I've gone through a tough relationship with my mother in terms of, preferences in life, decisions, and not getting married at this age, might I say. It was hard, but then at the end of the day, they're still your parents. When all goes to crap, like, you're gonna go back to them anyway. So they're gonna be your first call when you get into an accident. You're gonna call for your mom. Yes. That's right. Like making them understand that you need the space and that you need now the space to grow because you are always gonna be their children. You need to be a person of your own. And now, only almost 30 years in, ngayon parang na-realize yung nanay ko, Mom, shout out to you. I love you, but thank you as well.
Yeah, right.
Better late than never.
And I think it's helped us grow to have maybe part of it sheltering us, help nurture these ambitions of ours and our dreams of
Yes.
it's like the moment we get the chance, like we're gonna go for it, like all in, right?
Let's go. Good. But I think the way they parented us prepared us as well to be prepared for stuff like these, like and to be able to be better problem solvers. Because if my mom wasn't the way she was, I would have panicked as soon as like this pandemic started. I would have gone like, oh my God, I don't have a job. And I'll be like spiraling down into another pit of depression, which I just got out of. So it's a struggle, like especially being alone. I call myself alone because I live alone, right? But I'm not lonely. I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. People always mix that up. Like clarification, people, not because a woman is living alone, she's lonely. No, she's not. And we've chosen to be living this life because we don't conform to the norms of society, and we want to live life in our own terms, and that's perfectly okay no matter what you choose, no matter what industry you work in. And if you work for remote work, girl, you are on the right path. I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. I'm so supportive on that. And yeah, if I just really, really wasn't as scared as I was before. But I think it was good that I was scared before because it thought of it stuck to my mind. Like if I wasn't in Siargao as well, oh Siargao is beautiful. I always go back there. If I wasn't there at that time and I wasn't because I at that point I was already thinking of going back home. I was like, oh my God, it's so toxic. I wanna just live the island life and just chill. Because although we love Davao, there's so much people there now. There's so
True.
much more people like compared to when we were kids. And you just want to be able to work in a space that is quiet but also fun. If that, I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but there's a certain charm to be working in a space that you want to be in. Hindi ka lang conform into like a cubicle.
Yeah, it's a space where you can be safe to learn, explore,
Mhm.
work in your pajamas, work in bed,
Oh
work
yeah,
at the desk, work with makeup if that's your thing. It's
yeah.
great, and I am so excited to see your journey to remote work, and I hope we stay in touch because I want
I
to
agree.
see how you're growing. I want to see your journey. I want to be part of
Oh
it.
yeah.
Whether it's you being back in corporate with side hustle that are remote, so to help you
Mhm.
earn that lifestyle thing
Yeah.
you need,
Yeah.
or it are you finding an opportunity to be fully remote but still get
Mhm.
the income that you need and the income that you want. And I'm really excited for the world to be okay again so we can travel.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I hope so, cause like for the people who work remotely from home in the Philippines, it's tough. Cause especially if you're like working as a customer service rep for a company, and then you get cut off during your call, it can get frustrating. And when this all happened, the call centers in the Philippines still were able to keep going by having their people work from home. They were very creative about it because people still needed the jobs really, and businesses needed to keep going. So again, to those people who don't even want to worry about losing a job or answering to a corporate entity, then this is the thing for you. Like start it now. It's scary because it's something new, but nothing good comes easy. That's the thing. Like nothing good comes easy. So if it's a little bit of struggle for you as you first start, then considering it as like birthing pains, and then when the baby's out, then you get to enjoy the baby. I guess I have not had births given birth. But when you think about the logic, you sacrifice and then enjoy it later. I call it delayed gratification, and then you just sacrifice and then work and work and work, and then you get to enjoy it, and then you can choose the lifestyle that you want, like what you did. Like, you just went right through it, although walang backup. That's what I did too. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna move out, I don't care, bye. So, people do things for certain reasons, and we all respect that. But now that we have this option, which we didn't have years back, looking 10 years ago when I was still a senior in my university, I was just, I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to do this and that. But then what is the security in that? Like, you are not your own boss. This time you get to be your own boss at your own time.
Yeah. And if there's only one thing I can add to that wonderful point, is that yes, you have to start. Nothing starts without your choice and your say in it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next thing is that you're right, it's going to be difficult. Nothing comes easy. But the good thing about it is that you don't have to do it alone. Like, we have Facebook, we have social media, we have support groups, we have Zoom. Like, now it's so easy to ask people for help, and if you go to the right person at the right time, what is 30 minutes? Just discuss your problems, right? You're already at the hour now, and it's still like, but poor me in post-production, but it's okay. So you don't have to do it alone, and don't be afraid to ask for help, right?
That's right.
And our parting question is 3 things that you miss about the Philippines.
3 things I miss about the Philippines: definitely food, because in order to make like the same type of food that I eat there, I have to make it by myself. Kasi I cook and I've now learned the art of cooking. So yes. Number 2 definitely is, although people here are super nice, the warmth and hospitality of Filipinos are so different. And number 3, the beaches. Because like early on in the conversation, I said I have anxiety and depression. The sea was my answer. When I went to Siargao, when I went more to ocean areas, I become calm. I become just what I want to be. So beaches in the Philippines are the best. Although here, it can compensate for a while. I can do compromise, but definitely the beaches in the Philippines are just a beauty. And yeah, those are the 3 things. And I always go back to the Philippines for that. Not maybe living in the Philippines anymore, not maybe in the next 10 years, maybe in the future, but vacation will always pull me back. And yeah, I hope we see each other the next time I'm there.
To plan that, to make sure that we're not
looking
at
oh yeah.
Other spots, like, hey, I thought you were gonna be in the Philippines. Oh, I changed my mind. So
I'm just somewhere.
I loved our conversation, and I was realizing that there's so many different facets. Like, I also wanted to ask you about living as an immigrant there, the journey, assimilating into a different country, a different culture. How do you identify now? And then plus our backgrounds in being raised in a Filipina Asian household like this.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be another 1 hour for each topic. So
yes.
Again, but I appreciate you sharing what you've learned, especially being like an encouragement and an example to people who have lost their jobs. And it's up to them how they decide to pick themselves back up. And it's just great that there's an opportunity like remote work to make it sustainable if you happen to find the right opportunities, and to make it like a balanced kind of life with work, with life. And for me, one thing is like remote work is balance of everything. And I think you can say the same. And if there's one sentence you can share with us before we end this conversation, what would it be?
As a parting, if you're watching this right now, you've gone as far as this is your sign. Jump in with 2 feet and do it.
Right.
That's it.
Thank you so much, Sol.
Thank you, Faith.
If you haven't known by now that Instagram is one of my favorite platforms to hang around with, and I want to hang around with you and invite you to join the journey on Instagram. My Instagram is @Ferina Santos, and guess what? I'm also on Spotify with brand new podcasts every week that talk about productivity, remote work, and how you can achieve career freedom. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow the journey on YouTube and on these other platforms as well.
the three things: food, people, and beaches. BEACH. Just to be clear, but yeah, those are the three things. And I always go back to the Philippines for that.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out my other videos. Yes, gotta check them out. And let me know if you did so I can thank you personally and you can appear on my show. Alright, I'll see you in the next episode.